What if the biggest mistake women over 60 make before intimacy has nothing to do with aging, and everything to do with what happens in the quiet 60 seconds before emotional connection begins? Most women believe intimacy fades because the body changes after menopause. Less energy, hormonal shifts, more stress. But doctors and psychologists studying aging relationships discovered something deeply surprising. The emotional condition of a woman's mind right before intimacy often predicts whether she feels connected, distant, anxious, fulfilled, or emotionally empty afterward, and millions of women never see the pattern until years have already passed. The mystery starts here. Why do some women in their 60s and 70s still experience warmth, closeness, and emotional peace in relationships, while others begin avoiding affection completely even when they still care deeply about their partner? The answer begins decades earlier. In early adulthood, many women were trained to disconnect from their own emotional needs. They learned to prioritize being dependable instead of emotionally present. Wives became caretakers. Mothers became problem solvers. Stress became normal. During the 1960s and 70s, American culture praised women for sacrifice, patience, and endurance. But few talked openly about emotional exhaustion. Few discussed how chronic stress affects connection, intimacy, and even physical health later in life. At first, this damage stays invisible. Then the 40s arrive. This is where subtle changes begin quietly shaping the future. Hormones shift. Sleep changes. Anxiety increases. The body becomes more sensitive to stress. Researchers from the National Institute on Aging found that women in midlife often experience increased emotional strain while simultaneously receiving less emotional support themselves. And here is where the hidden problem begins. Most women adapt by becoming emotionally numb without realizing it. They continue functioning, working, caring for family, handling responsibilities, but emotionally, they begin operating in survival mode. And survival mode is the enemy of emotional intimacy. Science now confirms something older generations rarely understood. The nervous system plays a massive role in emotional and physical connection. When stress hormones remain elevated, the body becomes guarded instead of open. Blood pressure rises, muscles tense, emotional presence weakens. That means the emotional atmosphere right before intimacy matters far more than most people realize. But few women were ever taught this. Instead, old advice focused almost entirely on appearance. Stay attractive, hide aging, look younger, smile more. But psychologists discovered something shocking in long-term relationship studies. Emotional safety predicts connection far more powerfully than physical perfection. And after 70, this truth becomes impossible to ignore. Many older women quietly begin fearing intimacy, not because they no longer desire connection, but because they feel emotionally disconnected from themselves. Some worrying about judgment, others feel invisible. Some carry years of resentment or loneliness that were never discussed openly. Then comes the breaking point. Silence enters the relationship. Couples stop touching casually. Conversations become practical instead of emotional. Affection slowly disappears from daily life. And because this shift happens gradually, many people do not realize the relationship is changing until emotional distance feels permanent. Researchers studying senior relationships found that emotional isolation among older adults has risen sharply across the United States. Millions of women over 60 report feeling lonely even while living with a partner. That is the hidden fallout nobody talks about. The damage is not just emotional. Loneliness and emotional stress are linked to increased risks of depression, heart disease, weakened immunity, and cognitive decline. According to health surveys, socially isolated seniors face significantly higher risks of poor overall health outcomes. And here is the twist most people miss. The problem often begins before intimacy itself. It begins in the emotional transition beforehand. Think about how many women carry stress into the evening, worrying about finances, fear about aging, exhaustion from caregiving, anxiety about health, frustration from emotional neglect. Then suddenly they are expected to feel relaxed, emotionally safe, and fully connected within moments. The brain cannot switch that quickly, especially after 60. Neuroscientists found that emotional tension keeps the nervous system in a protective state. And when the nervous system feels unsafe, closeness becomes emotionally difficult even inside loving relationships. This is why some women begin pulling away emotionally without understanding why. Not because love disappeared, but because stress slowly replaced emotional openness. And sadly, many seniors try failed solutions because of outdated advice. Some focus only on appearance changes. Others blame age entirely. Some avoid discussing emotional needs because they fear conflict or embarrassment. But avoiding the real issue only deepens emotional distance over time. Now here comes the part most viewers have been waiting for. What should women actually do in the moments before intimacy? The first thing is to calm the nervous system intentionally. Studies show that slow breathing, calm conversation, gentle touch, and emotional reassurance help reduce cortisol and create emotional safety. Even a few peaceful minutes can completely change how the body responds emotionally. Second, stop treating intimacy like performance. This changes everything. Healthy intimacy after 60 is not about pretending to be younger. It is about feeling emotionally connected, emotionally respected, and emotionally present. Couples who focus on trust, laughter, affection, and communication consistently report stronger satisfaction than those chasing unrealistic expectations. Third, protect emotional honesty. Many women spend years hiding frustration, sadness, or insecurity to avoid conflict, but emotional suppression slowly damages connection. Researchers found that couples who openly discuss emotional needs tend to maintain stronger, long-term relationship health as they age. And here is one warning every woman over 60 needs to hear. Never ignore persistent emotional withdrawal, discomfort, sudden loss of connection, or ongoing anxiety surrounding intimacy. These can sometimes signal depression, hormonal changes, medication side effects, cardiovascular problems, or deeper emotional health struggles that deserve real attention. But there is also hopeful news hidden inside all of this. Researchers studying healthy aging discovered that many couples actually become emotionally closer later in life once they stop chasing perfection and start prioritizing emotional peace. That changes everything, because aging does not automatically destroy intimacy. Sometimes it removes distractions and reveals what truly matters. Presence, safety, trust, emotional calm. And maybe that is why some women over 70 describe their later relationships as emotionally deeper than anything they experienced in youth. Not because their lives became easier, but because they finally understood themselves emotionally. So here are 3 actions women over 60 can start today. First, create quiet emotional transition time before intimacy. Turn off distractions. Slow down mentally. Let the nervous system relax instead of carrying stress directly into emotional connection. Second, speak honestly about emotional needs instead of expecting your partner to guess them silently. Silence creates distance faster than aging ever will. Third, stop criticizing your aging body. Emotional confidence changes how the brain experiences connection far more than most people realize. And here is one final thought to hold on to. The quality of intimacy after 60 is often decided long before physical closeness begins. It is shaped by the emotional atmosphere you carry into the moment, the stress you hold, the safety you protect, the honesty you allow yourself to feel. In the next video, we are going to uncover the subtle emotional habits that quietly destroy long-term relationships after retirement, and why, though many couples never notice the warning signs until it is too late. If this video spoke to you, take a moment to like and share it with someone who may need this message today. And in the comments, tell us what you believe matters most for emotional connection after 60. And if you want more deep dive insights about aging, relationships, emotional health, and the hidden truths most seniors never hear about, subscribe now and join us for the next chapter.